You're watching ABC7 News at 7.
When it comes time for the financing, which will be...
Listen, what financing?
We'll have to pay you, so...
Don't pay the kid.
No. I got... No.
Recording surface of President Trump's lawyer Michael Cohen talking to Trump discussing paying a Playboy model hush money. What's the president's attorney willing to give up about his client? Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohen, and welcome to ABC 7 at 7. We'll have more on the week in Washington in a moment, but first, our top stories at 7. And we begin tonight with new details about the Manatee County teenager now behind bars in Denver for the double murder of two Bradenton teens. Authorities in Denver arrested 17-year-old Joe Clairjuice yesterday in the shooting deaths of two 18-year-olds last weekend in Bradenton. But now we're learning this isn't his first run-in with the law. He is also tied to two other crimes. The Manatee County Sheriff's Office says Clairjuice was arrested back in May for burglary and battery after getting into a fight at a Bradenton home. It has also been confirmed that Clairjuice was charged with not having a driver's license and carrying a weapon while on Snapchat back in February. Video showing him driving while holding a handgun near Manatee High School with text on the screen reading, "Who's at school?"
It's just very sad because you had kids that knew one another, two of them quite well. They were what I would categorize as close friends.
There is still no word yet on when Clairjuice will be sent back to Manatee County to face charges. You might remember last night's show when we talked about the shooting in Clearwater when a man who was shoved to the ground in turn shot and killed the man who shoved him. No charges have been filed, but now members of Congress from around the country are asking the Justice Department to investigate the shooting. Senator Bill Nelson and Congressman Charlie Crist are among the lawmakers asking Attorney General Jeff Sessions to look at the case. The city of Bradenton is offering its next emergency debris removal contract to a company the state investigated following Hurricane Irma. Sarasota-based Ceres Environmental Services is at the city's top choice months after Attorney General Pam Bondi named the company as one of three companies under investigation for delayed work and raising rates. Bradenton says its investment in is protected and new custom contracts debris removal services.
I believe we've done our due diligence to set the contract up in an appropriate manner to provide that level of protection.
That contract includes 11 categories for damages if Ceres fails to comply, including daily fines for not showing up within 72 hours of a work order. Ceres has yet to sign the contract. The Florida primaries are right around the corner, so make sure you register to vote if you have not already. The August 28th ballot will include primary races for the U.S. Senate, governor, 2 state cabinet seats, along with several congressional and legislative races. In addition, new Florida voters, those who wish to switch their political parties, must also change by Monday for the update to take effect for the primary election. Address changes for those already registered in Florida can be handled up to the day of the election. Statewide voter turnout during the 2016 primary election was just 24%.
If you're going to be a new registrant to Florida for voting, you need to be registered by July 30th to vote in the August 28th primary election.
To sign up or to vote, to update your existing registration, visit the website www.registertoflorida.gov. A no-swim advisory has been issued for Palmasola South. That's located at 81st Street West in Bradenton on the south side of the causeway. Health officials say the advisory comes in response to a high level of bacteria found in the water there, which may pose a health risk to swimmers. Other beaches located in Manatee County are not under a weather advisory. Now let's head over to ABC7's Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan with the first alert forecast. Bob.
Thanks, Alan. Right now it's 87 degrees, the heat index at 99. It's hot out there, and relative humidity at 72%. We have a west wind at 8. High pressure off the east coast is going to come back into play, and we're going to see an east to southeasterly wind flow, which will cause us to see a little bit more thunderstorm activity in the afternoon and evening as we head into the weekend. We have an outflow boundary heading off into Sarasota County right now. It's in the western sections of Hardee and DeSoto counties. That will be generating some isolated cells, but not a lot. And you can see the number of strikes have come down. That number was up there as high as 600 earlier. but now it's starting to fade away. You can see all those lightning strikes along with the East Coast and West Coast sea breeze kind of coming together. Not much rain here today, and we're going to get a little bit more tomorrow, especially on Sunday. Temperatures up and down the coast, 87 now in Sarasota. It's 78 in Tallahassee, 89 in Key West, and right now a little bit hotter in Arcadia, but the rain has moved through Sebring and Lake Placid, and even Avon Park now down to 79 degrees. We're going to look forward to those cooler temperatures in the evening as a result of that pattern change. Right now, the heat index in Northport at 97 degrees. Same in Venice, and westerly flow changing a bit. We'll see that, and scattered storms late in the day returning, and then the chances stay high all next week as a result of that southeasterly wind flow. We'll have much more in our forecast coming up a little bit later. Alan?
Thanks, Bob. President Trump is denying his former personal attorney Michael Cohen's claim that he knew in advance about a highly controversial 2016 Trump Tower meeting, the latest public breach in the fraying relationship between the president and his former confidant. CNN's Jim Sciutto explains what Cohen is willing to tell the special counsel.
Sources tell myself and Carl Bernstein that President Trump's longtime lawyer Michael Cohen is willing to tell special counsel Robert Mueller that then-candidate Trump knew in advance about his campaign's June 2016 Trump Tower meeting with Russians promising dirt on Hillary Clinton, and that he signed off on it. This account directly contradicting the repeated denials from President Trump, his lawyers, and allies.
Did you know at the time that they had the meeting?
No, I didn't know anything about the meeting.
He was not aware of the meeting, did not attend the meeting, and was only informed about the emails very recently by his counsel.
Did you tell your father anything about this?
No. It was such a nothing. There was nothing to tell.
Sources tell us that Cohen alleges that he was there when Donald Trump Jr. told his father about the meeting, but does not have evidence such as an audio recording to corroborate the claim. President Trump's lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, flatly denying Cohen's account in an interview with CNN and attacking Cohen's credibility.
He didn't know about it. I know that. I've been over this in great detail. I've talked to the corroborating witnesses. There's no way you're going to bring down the President of the United States on the testimony uncorroborated of a proven liar.
A source familiar with Cohen's testimony says that he did not tell the House Intelligence Committee that Trump had advance knowledge of the meeting. And Donald Trump Jr. told the Senate Judiciary Committee last year that he would not have wasted his father's time with it. Trump Jr.'s attorney standing by his testimony, saying they are confident in the accuracy and reliability of the information they provided. The Trump Tower meeting has long been at the center of questions over potential collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia. When news of the meeting first broke, Donald Trump Jr. initially said that the focus was primarily on Russian adoptions. Days later, Trump Jr. publicly released emails from publicist Rob Goldstein, who set up the meeting, showing that, in fact, it was proposed, quote, to provide the Trump campaign with some official documents and information that would incriminate Hillary as part of Russia and its government's support for Trump. Trump Jr. replied to the email within minutes, quote, if it's what you say, I love it. 4 days later and 2 days before the Trump Tower meeting, then-candidate Trump said that he'd be revealing information about Clinton.
I am going to give a major speech on probably Monday of next week, and we're going to be discussing all of the things that have taken place with the Clintons. I think you're going to find it very informative and very, very interesting.
That speech never happened.
Coming up, the man who makes the trains run on time for the Sarasota Republican Party, the Sarasota Democrats' sharpest political operative, and the Suncoast prince of political reporting at the Trapezoid.
At Boys and Girls Clubs, it's not just about trying new things. Learning the right steps, or making contact. It's not just about exploring the future. It's about helping them build it. It's about making the connection. It's about proving every kid and teen who enters our doors has what it takes. Great futures start here.
This is an important message for anyone with Medicare. You may be eligible for an all-in-one Medicare plan that combines hospital, medical, and prescription drug coverage together with extra benefits that may include dental, vision, hearing aids, and much more. Some of these plans have a $0 monthly premium regardless of your income. That's right. For one low plan premium, or in some cases a $0 premium, you may be able to get coverage for your hospital visits, doctor appointments, prescription drugs, routine dental care, eyeglasses and contact lenses, hearing aids, and possibly more. Today may be the first time you've heard about this type of Medicare plan. The advisors at the Medicare.com helpline are licensed insurance agents who will explain more when you call. Call now to see if you qualify. Call the number on your screen now. Call now to see if you qualify for these benefits. You worked hard for your Medicare. Now is the time for your Medicare to work hard for you. Not affiliated with or acting on behalf of any government agency or program.
Did you know that a dirty CPAP system can make you sick? If you knew what could be growing in your mask and hose, it would keep you up at night. Now SoClean.com has released the world's first and only automated hands-free CPAP cleaner and sanitizer. With its patented design, SoClean is fast, effective, and hands-free, killing 99.9% of all CPAP germs. Try SoClean now through this special TV offer free for 30 days. Just call 800-604-0398.
My health has improved. It's simple to use, and I'm not worried about infections.
SoClean works on all CPAP machines and popular masks, destroying CPAP bacteria, viruses, and germs without the daily hassle of washing your system by hand. Just place your mask in, close the lid, and in just minutes, voila! Sanitized and ready to use. Try SoClean risk-free for 30 days. This is a limited time offer. Call now, 800-604-0398. Or visit SoClean.com today.
Planning a Carnival Fantasy Cruise out of Mobile? Then check out the park and cruise packages at the luxurious Battle House and Renaissance Riverview Plaza hotels. Stay at the Battle House for $169 per night, or the Riverview Plaza for just $149 per night, and leave your car for the duration of your cruise. Includes transportation to and from the cruise terminal. If you're cruising out of Mobile, come stay with us. Call 1-800-MARRIOTT or visit Marriott.com now.
Welcome back. Okay, quick, top story of the day. If you're a Republican, you're saying the new economic numbers. GDP grew at 4.1%, baby. No one cares about Russia, never mind the president's bromance with Vladimir Putin, and his former attorneys claim that Trump knew all about the Trump Tower meeting with the Russians before it happened. Or what about paying cash versus a check to pay off a Playboy playmate? Joining us for more are Rita Ferrandino, the former Sarasota Democratic Party chair, Jack Brill, the vice chair of the Sarasota Republican Party, and Zach Anderson, the political editor of the Herald Tribune. Welcome to you all.
Thank you.
Today, the news that the economy grew by 4.1%. This is, Rita, is the essential Republican case that no one cares about Russia when you have the economy performing the way it is now.
Well, the real issue is that because of the tariffs that have been imposed, we've seen countries starting to stockpile. And there's no surprise to anybody that there's this big jump this month. The question really is, because everybody sort of swooped in to buy prior to the tariffs taking hold, that this inflationary jump happened, what's going to happen after? And there's not any really good reason or any economic signs to think that this is anything that's more than a blip.
Jack?
It was a great day in the economy here in the United States. The trade deficit went down, something like $52 billion. We're now on an annual GDP growth of 3%, which will equate to another approximately 1 million jobs. If you think about it, since the Trump administration, we've created 4 million jobs in this country. We're on a great roll. You need to keep it going.
Zach, this is, as I said, this is the essential Republican argument that unless you are a Democrat and many independents, if you're a Republican, even if you don't like the president's other behaviors, you look at this, and this is why people voted for him in the first place.
Yeah, and there's no doubt this is good news for Republicans. You want the economy rolling when you're going into an election like this. And it used to be political gospel that, the economy was the overarching influence on any election cycle. I think it was James Carville who famously said, "It's the economy, stupid." But I don't know you know, these days it's so much about personality, and Trump is such a overarching figure. I don't know that, you know, a bunch of people who are upset with the president are going to all of a sudden say that, you know, I'm doing okay financially, that you know, cancels that out. And you look at his approval rating. There was some polls that came out this week in the Midwest where he was in the 30s in some key states in the Midwest, and there was a poll this week in Florida that had him around 41% with 47% disapproval. So obviously some people are overlooking the good economy, and they're looking at other things about the president's record.
Real quick, folks, the House 72 did show that Republican women are willing to cross over. Jack?
That was a special election. You know, things are going to change for the November election. But I think we need to really go back and say, you know, we're actually having a good year.
Well, I don't think it is just all going to go back in November. I think people are fired up. And I think one of the issues that you haven't discussed is that the middle class have not seen any kind of economic boom at all through any of this with Donald Trump. Okay. The numbers are flat, aren't they?
Yes, or close to it, but we'll pick that up. Our conversation on the week in Washington continues right after we get the check on the First Alert forecast with Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Thanks, Alan Cohn. You're the man.
Nice to see you.
Good seeing you. Lakewood Ranch webcam showing, yeah, it's good to be on. We have a few fair weather cumulus clouds occasionally moving across the sky. Different kind of flow pattern, though, as opposed to that westerly wind that we've seen all week long. And now things are going to change. Things aren't changing, unfortunately, for the red tide. This is the latest report. Came out this afternoon from the Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission. And you can see north of, say, Osprey and Nokomis, it's not a problem. There have been no reports, no fish kills. There's been some slight irritation reported on Siesta Key, but not much. But south thereof, it's getting a little bit worse. Higher concentrations being felt now from just around Venice southward through Charlotte Harbor, and 15 samples in Sarasota County showing background to high concentrations. And these are some specific areas. Again, here's Venice right there. There's South Venice. There's the airport. Those are moderate samples taken right there. And those are the high, which shows up as 1 million cells per liter. And that stretches from South Venice. It's still patchy. It's not everywhere, but it is high enough to cause fish kills. And with that westerly wind we've been seeing as of late, everything just gets pushed to shoreline. And that's going to change a little bit over the weekend. Hopefully it'll blow it out to sea next week. But for the time being, you can see those heavy storms that were inland. They created these outflow boundaries, little miniature cold fronts, if you will. And you'll see one right there. I sensitized the radar. This isn't rain right here. It's just an outflow boundary from the massive rain that we've seen. And you can see as it moves west, storms trail behind it. And right now it's picked between Polk County and also Hardy County. This will continue to work its way off toward Sarasota and get to the coast in about an hour's time from now. So this will generate a few isolated cells. There's enough energy in the atmosphere that outflow boundary could pop up a few cells like we're seeing right now near Wauchula and Bowling Green, generating some lightning strikes. That's going to be kind of the pattern, I think, over the upcoming days. More southeasterly wind causing that convergence to set up into central Florida with that activity spreading toward the west coast of Florida. There's still some relatively dry air in place, though, and that's what's inhibiting the storms here along the immediate west coast. And it looks as though that will moisten up a little bit over the weekend. So a few isolated cells possible tomorrow morning into the Gulf of Mexico. That's associated with the land breeze, which will develop overnight. But then here comes the east coast and west coast meeting in the central Florida late in the afternoon. And then those have a tendency to push back toward the west coast later on after that. Now, similar conditions expected for Sunday with the bulk of the heavy rainfall inland, but still a few cells heading toward the west coast. Here's the forecast for boaters tomorrow. Not much wind for sailing, but for boaters out there, it looks to be seas running less than 2 feet, mostly smooth, and water temperature is still very warm, 87 degrees. As far as the 7-day forecast goes, so only a 40% chance for scattered storms near the coast, a little bit better east of I-75. And then we jump up to anywhere from a 50 to 60% chance right through the work week next week. High temperatures close to seasonal averages. Alan will be back right after this. Stick around.
Did you know you could get life insurance for less than 32 cents a day? With guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance through TrueStage, you can get up to $25,000 in protection with a single phone call. TrueStage can help free your family from immediate financial stress when you're gone.
Utility bills, mortgages, car payments, those are a lot of things that can add up pretty fast.
And even if you're on a fixed income, prices fit your budget, starting at less than 32 cents a day. Plus, your price will never increase and your benefit will never decrease. And with no medical tests or health questions, you cannot be turned down for any reason. Call 1-800-842-7189. Now, for a free, no-obligation quote, TrueStage offers plans to fit your budget. Help protect your family from immediate financial burdens after you're gone with guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance through TrueStage. Call 1-800-842-7189 now.
My name is Blake. I received a heart transplant when I was 2 weeks old. I play defense for the Red Hot Tornadoes. Sometimes my heart starts pounding like faster and faster as I go. I know I have someone else's heart inside me. It makes me feel happy because someone was generous enough to give me a second chance to live.
This gift of life was made possible by an organ donor. Imagine what you could make possible. Sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov.
Monday at 9 on Suncoast View.
We're all about keeping cool this time of year, and there's an environmentally friendly fabric that makes it much easier. I'm Stephanie Roberts on Suncoast View. We learn about bamboo from a designer who creates bambooty fashions. A big star is on stage here on the Suncoast for the weekend. He stopped by our studios to have some fun. We got to hang out with Sinbad, plus makeover madness on a Monday morning and Gold Rush barbecue in the kitchen.
Monday at 9 on Suncoast View.
ABC7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you. Watch ABC7 wherever you are, on our live stream, on mysuncoast.com, on the ABC7 My Suncoast app, powered by the Eye Associates, providing sight for life, featuring traffic maps and live radar, dining with recipes, and My Suncoast Restaurant Guide. Visit mysuncoast.com. Click on the Apps tab to download the ABC7 My Suncoast app for Apple and Android.
Once you get atrial fibrillation, you need to have a very close relationship with your primary doctor. Prevention is the whole ball game here, because once you have a stroke, you can't undo it. A year without stroke is a year that you can enjoy doing the things that you've worked all your life to finally get to do. You took care of yourself. You did what is necessary for you to be around one more year. And then next year, we'll celebrate one more year without a stroke.
Welcome back. We are talking about the week in Washington, and joining us for more are Rita Ferrandino, the former Sarasota Democratic chair, Jack Brill, the vice chair of the Sarasota Republican Party, and Zach Anderson, the political editor of the Herald Tribune. Folks, it's been an interesting week for the president, and I can't...
More interesting than last week or the week before?
Well, in a different way, because, you know, he always talks about hiring the best people. And now we have his longtime attorney, Michael Cohen, somehow releasing an audio tape showing their conversation about paying off a Playboy playmate, Jack, that the president has insisted up until now he had no relationship with.
I'm going to go back to the only thing that really matters to me.
It's the economy.
No, well, that's true. But what happened to client attorney confidentiality? And that's something that obviously...
Hold on a second. Factually, the president... The president declined client privilege for this. They allowed that to come out. They waived it.
I have nothing to offer in that respect, then, because I got to tell you, I don't care if it was a traffic ticket. If I've hired legal counsel, that's going to stay confidential between us forever.
Let's get to the good stuff, which is what the heck is he doing?
Okay, well, let's put up the tweet from the president in response when he said, "What kind of lawyer would tape a client so sad? This is the first, never heard of it before. Was the tape so abruptly terminated while I was presumably saying positive things? I hear that the other clients and many reporters are taped. Can this be so? Too bad." Now, that is one thing, but now comes news that Cohen is offering the special counsel information that the president was made aware of that Trump Tower meeting with the Russians before it took place. And Rita, I mean, what's your reaction to that?
Well, of course Trump knew about it. Trump is a megalomaniac. He is on every detail. He never would have not known anything, and he has this huge long track record of lying. So of course, this isn't new news to me. It's just come out.
So did he release client attorney confidentiality on that too, or is that illegally done by Michael Cohen?
Zach, once again, when you look at people here on the Suncoast, do they care about these things? That it's not just dribble, every few days. I mean, these are pretty big things that have come out.
Well, I think the president has done a pretty good job of convincing his supporters not to pay attention to a lot of this. That's the reason that you see him constantly tweeting, constantly out there trying to discredit these reports, which have turned out to be accurate. I think that, people, you don't really see like a massive drop in the polls or massive drop in support for the president. I think a lot of his supporters are really tuning this out to some degree, and it'll really depend on the final report from the special counsel's investigation.
Do you think that the debacle in Helsinki had a bigger impact short term in terms of the president's approval?
I think it did. I think you could see it in the polls. He did dip a little bit after that. I think that there were Republicans who had been hesitant to criticize the president, who is extremely popular with Republicans. For some of them, that was a bridge too far to stand next to the Russian president, who has been an adversary for this country and who obviously had done some things to hack the election.
Okay, our conversation on the week in Washington will continue after a quick break.
It fell off the roof of my car.
It fell out of my backpack.
Oh, it fell off my grocery cart.
I tossed it to a really clumsy friend.
I tripped while jogging.
My 2-year-old had a temper tantrum.
It bounced down 2 flights of stairs.
No matter how you broke your smartphone, there's only one smart way to fix it. Batteries plus bulbs.
I dropped it on the floor, and he stepped on it.
Schedule your repair at batteriesplus.com.
The following message is brought to you by Mesobook.com.
People who have been diagnosed with mesothelioma have many questions. How did I get this disease? What are my treatment options? How will this affect my loved ones? You need answers, which is why we offer a free book written by medical professionals who have treated mesothelioma.
Call toll-free at 1-800-777-1366 or go to Mesobook.com.
I just need a second.
Is your weight holding you back and affecting your health?
Did you see this? Your cousin had a heart attack.
Really?
Excess weight or obesity can be serious, but you can do something about it. Visit yourweightmatters.org. Download the free toolkit to prepare you to speak with a healthcare provider. Your weight does matter. Accept the challenge and take charge today. Visit yourweightmatters.org.
Find out first at 4 on the Suncoast with ABC7 News at 4. ABC7 News at 4 starts with a detailed look at your first alert weather forecast to help you plan and prepare. We give you a fresh, fast-paced rundown of the day's top stories and videos, including breaking news, live updates, and traffic hotspots, all at a new, more convenient time. Find out first at 4, weekdays on ABC7.
Every week on Animal Outtakes, it's a new animal adventure. It's a part of traditional Chinese veterinary medicine, how pets benefit from acupuncture and chiropractic care. And
there are several animals that rely on fire.
These fires are set on purpose, how a prescribed burn can actually help Florida's ecosystem. Join us this week on ABC7.
Here's something we bet you didn't know. Nearly half of all cancers can be prevented. That's right, half. Nearly 50%, mostly by making small everyday changes in your diet and controlling your weight, walking more, eating less, and eating foods that help you and your family to seriously reduce the risk of cancer. And of course, by not smoking. Visit the Cancer Prevention Together We Can website and get a free 30-day planner filled with tips, recipes, stats, and more about protecting your family. Go to prevent50.org.
Are you a soccer mom or dad? Regardless of their age or experience level, when your kids play soccer or any other sport, there's one person on the sideline who is key to help recognize and seek medical care for sports-related concussion. It's you. You need to know the signs and symptoms of concussion, and you need to act if you think your child has been injured. Remember, when in doubt, sit them out. To learn more, go to cdc.gov/concussion. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004.
You're watching ABC7 News at 7:30.
Welcome back. We are talking about the week in Washington, and joining us for more are Rita Ferrandino, the former Sarasota Democratic Party chair, Jack Brill, the vice chair of the Sarasota Republican Party, and Zach Anderson, political editor of the Herald Tribune. We've talked about the Russia investigation a little bit. There's also been a story that came out saying that 19 months into his presidency, there is no coherent Trump administration strategy to combat foreign election interference and no single person or agency in charge of it.
And why aren't we up in arms and protesting? That is just insane. It is crazy to me that we have not got anything out of the federal government or the state government to seriously look at protecting our elections. It's the cornerstone of democracy here in the U.S.
We did our supervisor elections. They all just got some money. It was a federal grant that came down through the states for election security, and that's being implemented right now.
But why isn't it being done on the federal level? In a way, this article goes on to say, after the terrorists had struck on 9/11, the U.S. government passed laws, boosted funding, and reorganized itself with the goal of making such an attack could never happen again. Well, we obviously have not done that on a national scale.
But maybe we are. Maybe the NSA, maybe the CIA, maybe they're doing it. That's their job. They're going to tell us about it. And I got to tell you, very interesting. I was at a CEO roundtable of hospital executives in South Carolina this week, and it shows how much everybody has had to up the security game. The average hospital in South Carolina, because that's where I was, they get tapped into their their security defense systems 5 to 6 times a day, and up to 5 to 6 times an hour. And when they track them back, 90% of them are coming from Russia. And so obviously there are security systems in place. People are constantly dealing with it on a daily basis. We have obviously built, and our companies have built, great defense systems to make sure it doesn't happen.
The stakes could not be higher. According to the Cook report, with 102 days to go before the election, Democrats remain substantial favorites for House control. A big reason Republicans are defending 42 open seats or vacant seats, a record since 1930. This midterm election, Zach, is going to be fascinating. We have a very competitive race right here, and that's why people are continuing to be concerned about whether or not the Russians are going to, foul up the machines again, so to speak.
I think we all should be concerned about cybersecurity. I mean, we all see it, with our bank cards that are, that information is stolen at times, and people run up reports on your credit card. I think Trump has been very defensive. He views, any admission that there was hacking as somehow delegitimizing his presidency, and that might have played into, not really making a big public push to talk about election security. There is election security efforts going on. There have been grants that have been going down to some of the supervisors. There have been efforts on a local scale to do some of this, but it is a very big concern, and it's interesting that nobody is really talking about it in a big way at the federal level.
All right, let's take a pivot and talk about the governor's race and the elections and some of the candidate forums that are coming up. New polling coming out shows that Ron DeSantis is now overtaken Adam Putnam for the Republican gubernatorial election or nomination. Jack, Adam Putnam has been running for governor for about 20 years now. President Trump basically says he is supporting DeSantis. He's coming to Tampa on Tuesday. I'm sure this shocks folks like you.
Well, he hasn't been running for 20 years, but he's been running for the last couple. But one of the things, if you want to know how this is going to fare out, Sarasota's the place to be tomorrow. Tomorrow, Adam Putnam and Ron DeSantis will be at Robarts Arena at our candidate rally, and it'll be the first time they've been together since the debate up in Orlando, which was on national Fox News. And it'll be very interesting to see how our voters react to both primary candidates, and we look forward to it for this event.
Can Adam Putnam overcome a presidential visit less than a month before the election?
I think you're seeing the initial reaction to the president's support of Congressman DeSantis, but you've got to look at the entire voting bloc, and we'll see what happens.
Rita, on the Democratic side, Gwen Graham has basically built out a larger lead in the Democratic field. This after billionaire Jeff Green comes in there and seems to have blown Philip Levine, the former Miami Beach mayor, a little bit out of the water.
So I think we're all really on edge waiting to see what's going to happen. We've got Gwen Graham supporters, Gillum supporters, Philip Levine supporters, and then, you know, Jeff Green is on TV. What was it, a $9.6 million ad buy this week? So it's just all open. I do want to come back, though, to the security. I think it's completely insufficient and naive to think that small grants coming to the local level to expect the supervisor of elections office here to be fighting cybersecurity on their own with a small amount of money that's granted to them is not sufficient in any way. I think we need a much broader strategy. I just had to bring that back because I just don't believe you can fight cybersecurity on a local level when you've got this kind of potential attacks happening. Your hospitals have mega resources to be fighting.
Well, these are small. It's small and large. It was just fascinating to see that this was still going on. But I also, the grants you're talking about, you know, the supervisor elections here is looking, you know, they're getting. That's one piece. It's one more piece to add the layer to add security.
I think that's a good spin.
Jack, has Russia paid a price for interfering in our election?
Well, they've got a terrible economy over there. We've got, you know, if you look at, I mean, they're a third world economy at this point, so.
Have they paid a price for meddling with our?
I guess we're going to find out when the Mueller investigation is done to see how far they
Well, it's not up to Bob Mueller to sanction Russia over interfering in our elections.
We've got so many sanctions on Russia already. You know, I mean, how many more can you put on, you know, from a worldwide economy?
Zach, you cover the elections around here. Are people concerned about whether or not these elections will be fair and square?
I haven't heard a lot of that concern. The supervisor elections office in Florida are all individually run by individual counties. I don't know if people just sort of understand that it's hard to hack all of those, or maybe it's just not filtered down. But I haven't heard a lot of people like expressing broad concern that all of a sudden our voting is going to be hacked.
But what people have been saying, and what the reports have been, is that there's no allegation that the Russians changed votes in the ballot box in 2016, but they have shown an ability to hack into state voter databases, and if you mess around with who's registered and who's not, that's where potentially the big trouble is.
They haven't been successful yet, and as we continue to build up our cyber defenses, they will not be successful.
Really, you get the last word.
And we here have a terrible record of our elections. In 2006, we were the center of the country's eye because of our inability to.
But boy, we've come a long ways from them from a technology and what our supervisor elections have done. So we've
cybersecurity needs to be fought at a very high level.
Okay, we have to end it there. We want to thank all our guests for being here tonight. Rita Ferrandino, the former Sarasota Democratic Party chair, Jack Brill, the vice chair of the Sarasota Republican Party, and Zach Anderson, the political editor of the Herald Tribune. When we return, we'll be joined by Spencer Sullivan, who is a Republican political consultant. Very interesting interview. Stay with us.
Did you know that a dirty CPAP system can make you sick? If you knew what could be growing in your mask and hose, it would keep you up at night. Now SoClean.com has released the world's first and only automated hands-free CPAP cleaner and sanitizer. With its patented design, SoClean is fast, effective, and hands-free, killing 99.9% of all CPAP germs. Try SoClean now through this special TV offer free for 30 days. Just call 800-604-0398.
My health has improved. It's simple to use, and I'm not worried about infections.
SoClean works on all CPAP machines and popular masks, destroying CPAP bacteria, viruses, and germs without the daily hassle of washing your system by hand. Just place your mask in, close the lid, and in just minutes, voila! Sanitized and ready to use. Try SoClean risk-free for 30 days. This is a limited time offer. Call now, 800-604-0398. Or visit SoClean.com today.
If you're looking for the perfect trip that allows you to spend quality time with a family, then discover the great outdoors on an Alabama Black Belt adventure. Create unforgettable memories while hunting, fishing, or biking and hiking. Or play the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail, now celebrating 25 years. And while you're here, enjoy the flavors of the Black Belt. Book your adventure at our lodges or stay in the Renaissance Montgomery Hotel and Spa. Start planning an Alabama Black Belt adventure today.
A policeman stopped.
Yeah, it was the lady parked next to me.
I called my wife.
My dad got up in the middle of the night.
My neighbor helped me out.
I called a tow truck.
Anyone can jumpstart your car, but for free installation and $10 off Duracell Ultra car batteries, there's no one like Batteries Plus bulbs.
I'll install it myself.
I'd like you to do it.
Visit batteriesplus.com for a store near you.
The following message is brought to you by Mesobook.com.
People who have been diagnosed with mesothelioma have many questions. How did I get this disease? What are my treatment options? How will this affect my loved ones? You need answers, which is why we offer a free book written by medical professionals who have treated mesothelioma.
Call toll-free at 1-800-777-1366 or go to Mesobook.com.
The thought of my sons growing up without me inspired me to quit smoking.
I talked to my doctors, and then I threw away all my cigarettes, ashtrays, and lighters.
I started exercising instead of smoking.
Letting my friends online know I was quitting kept me on track.
Staying away from alcohol when I was first quitting was key.
I kept on trying, learned something each time.
Do whatever it takes.
No matter how many times it takes.
We did it. You can too.
For free help, visit cdc.gov/tips.
We're always trying to find new voices with insight into the interesting political times we live in. Spencer Sullivan is a Republican political consultant working on local congressional races, and we welcome him to the Trapezoid.
Have it be on. Thank you.
I know that you were working on one of the congressional races in our area here, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But as a Republican consultant, what makes this midterm different than others?
Yeah, I think there's a couple themes you see here, Alan. One of the themes is you have in a Republican primary race, right? A lot of Republican primary candidates running to see how close they can get to President Trump. And I think an NBC Wall Street Journal poll came out a couple of days ago saying 88% of Republican voters approved of President Trump's job, right? So that's one of the highest ratings that a current sitting president has had through their own party. So you're seeing a Republican primary candidates, the party trying to run as close to President Trump as possible in certain districts. Obviously, the second theme here is how does this play in a general election with a president that, at very least, is very controversial at times.
Well, let's take this one at a time, because a lot of Florida Republicans find themselves in the position that they were not great fans of Donald Trump when he was running in the Republican primary, and he won, and they have had to jump on board the train. And you see this playing out right here in the 17th Congressional District with Greg Steube and Julio Gonzalez, where Steube is trying to pin some of Julio Gonzalez's anti-Trump tweets on him during this primary race.
Yeah, and I think what has brought a lot of Republicans on board, to be honest with you, we saw the numbers come out today, 4.1% GDP growth, the economy. Yes, there's a lot of things that President Trump does that traditional Republicans, a lot of folks just don't like, just don't agree with, but you can't argue at certain points he's getting the job done. And when the job gets done, his approval ratings go up, you have 4.1% GDP growth. The dynamics there are interesting, again, in the primary, because you have to get elected by primary voters, but you also don't want to run too far to the right or too far to the left on the Democratic side, right, to get elected in the general election.
So you've come down here to actually work on the congressional district that I'm familiar with, the 15th Congressional District, which is a small part of Hillsborough and Polk County right now, and basically you have a Republican primary where some of the Republicans are saying that they're all in for President Trump, but they weren't always.
Yeah, and that's an interesting dynamic that you have seen playing in the Florida's 15th district. You see it all over the country, in which you have Republican primary candidates right now running very close to President Trump, but in the past have made pretty aggressive statements against President Trump. You have Neil Combie right now, who's trying to tie himself very close to the president, but has made aggressive statements, has attacked President Trump, has even said that he's dumped President Trump in the past, but clearly has seen since the poll numbers, since the Wall Street Journal number, that 88% of Republican voters approve of President Trump, that he's got to change his rhetoric.
And so you're trying to point that out.
Correct. We're trying to inform the voters of Florida's 15th district that Neil Combie has not been a President Trump supporter throughout the entire process.
What is the challenge for Republican candidates in the general election during this midterm? Because the conventional wisdom has been, Republicans do well in the midterms, Democrats do not. But was that more of a function of the fact that Barack Obama was president for 8 years and the party in power always does poorly in the midterms?
I think it's a very powerful thing to run against something versus running for something, right? So I think I would agree with that sentiment, saying that it's very easy to run against a sitting president that you can run against, like President Obama or maybe President Trump in the future, as we're going to see in 2018. But I would say it's not so much the specific president, but it's the president that's in the party that's in power, and it's very easy to run against them, to be a check and balance against the current party in power.
Are you concerned about the enthusiasm gap? Because right now the Democrats seem to have that because of their feelings about the president, and even some Republicans have jumped off the Trump train because of the president's various issues. Is it going to be more of a challenge for Republicans this year to get their vote out?
Yes and no. I think I'm going to give you the lawyer answer, not the Michael Cohen lawyer answer on this one. The midterms traditionally favor Republicans because of the demographics. The Republicans tend to vote a little bit more in the midterms than Democrats do. I think everything has an equal and opposite reaction. That means the Supreme Court pick is going to energize not only the Democratic base, but the Republican base, and remind the Republican voters, a lot of Republican voters, like Florida voters, who weren't overly thrilled with President Trump at the time, why they pulled the trigger for President Trump for the Supreme Court.
We have to leave it there. Before we go, we want to share with you what some of our viewers had to say about last night's show on the Stand Your Ground law. Florida's Stand Your Ground law has been controversial since the beginning. It's back after a debate after an unarmed man was shot and killed after he pushed another man to the ground. The man who fired the shot has not been charged because of the Stand Your Ground law. We went to Facebook for your thoughts, and Susie says, I would hope that if some stranger was yelling in your face for whatever reason and your man came out and saw it, that he would shove the aggressor away. That's called chivalry. After the guy went down, the victim backed away. The shooter shot while the victim was backing up. That's murder. He was not in danger. Mary says McLaughlin had an extensive police record that included everything from domestic disturbances to drug selling. Hardly an upright citizen. Hopefully his kid turns out better than he did. Which John responds, yes, he deserved to die? Seriously? How do you people sleep at night? Well, if you'd like to join the conversation on tonight's topic, just visit our Facebook page at facebook.com/mysuncoast.com.abc7. We want to thank Spencer Sullivan. He is a Republican political consultant, and we hope you come back. When we return, we'll have your primetime headlines, but right now let's get a final check on our first solar forecast with Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Thanks, Alan. We want to thank Matt Sterling for shading the cameras again here this evening. This is his last time he's going to be doing that as he's heading out up north to get do another job of some sort in the field of media, I guess. I'm not sure. We also want to say goodbye to Chris Milanese. I call him Malaise, I think, but nonetheless. No, he's not leaving? He's still here? Milanese. I call him Chris Malaise. Anyway, here's what we have. Showers and storms developing along that sea breeze front into the interior portions of our viewing area right now. A few isolated showers starting to break out as this outflow boundary continues to move west. You can see a little bit of activity there, so it's not quite over for the coast. We didn't have much rain at all today. In fact, hardly any along the west coast of Florida. But now with this little outflow boundary heading to the west, there's a chance we could see a few scattered storms there popping up. Not much. The heaviest activity that was inland is now since moved on. The water vapor imagery showing some dry air still kind of hanging around the Suncoast, so that is also inhibiting our storms tonight. But we will see a little bit more moisture come back into play tomorrow afternoon as we get a little bit more south to southeasterly wind flow. That favors inland storms during the late day, but there's a chance we could see some work their way back toward the coast late in the evening for the most part. That will be the case on Sunday too. Although there is a frontal system approaching the southeast United States, that front will pull short of us, and high pressure will continue to dominate with scattered storms along the coast in the late afternoon and evening. So that west wind pattern that we've been seeing as of late is now changing, and it looks like it will stick around with afternoon and evening storms right through next week. A chance for scattered storms mainly in the afternoon tomorrow. High temperatures will warm in the upper 80s, but we will see temperatures Again, looks like into the, feels like temperatures into the 100 to 105 degree range. It's been relatively quiet since Alberto for us here along the Sun Coast, but we are expecting the peak of hurricane season September 10th. So we're entering in the 2 most active months for tropical systems. But right now with the Atlantic so cold, we're not expecting much activity out there. But the Gulf of Mexico, the Western Caribbean, and the Southwest Atlantic still very warm for this time of year, all around 90 degrees. 87 now in Bradenton, 87 currently in Sarasota, 87 in Northport, Englewood at 86. And the forecast, as far as the current conditions go, we're looking for more high temperatures in the upper 80s right around here. The heat index has gone down a little bit, 99 degrees at this point. Still hot out there. Well, the forecast for boaters tomorrow, pretty light winds, not much sea action, and mostly smooth as far as the water condition goes. And then a 40% chance for scattered late day storms tomorrow, 60% chance on Sunday. And then typical summer afternoon and evening storms all the way through next week. Alan will be back right after this.
This is an important message for anyone with Medicare. You may be eligible for an all-in-one Medicare plan that combines hospital, medical, and prescription drug coverage together with extra benefits that may include dental, vision, hearing aids, and much more. Some of these plans have a $0 monthly premium regardless of your income. That's right. For one low plan premium, or in some cases a $0 premium, you may be able to get coverage for your hospital visits, doctor appointments, prescription drugs, routine dental care, eyeglasses and contact lenses, hearing aids, and possibly more. Today may be the first time you've heard about this type of Medicare plan. The advisors at the Medicare.com helpline are licensed insurance agents who will explain more when you call. Call now to see if you qualify. Call the number on your screen now. Call now to see if you qualify for these benefits. You worked hard for your Medicare. Now is the time for your Medicare to work hard for you. Not affiliated with or acting on behalf of any government agency or program.
What to expect when you're expecting a teenager.
Today we're talking about how to wake up your teen, and this works literally every time.
Give kisses. Good kisses. You heard how loud
I heard. It wasn't you. Yeah. It was the...
Is that bacon?
You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more than 100 years, American Humane Association has been teaching kids to be kind to animals. Those in our homes, on the farms, on the silver screen, and wildlife conservation, caring for the world's vanishing creatures. But we can't do it alone. Visit kindness100.org to find ways to teach kids how they can make a more caring, compassionate, and humane world for all of us.
It's been about a month, and I can honestly say I've seen the change in me. I went from being a depressed girl who didn't want help to this happy, caring girl who loves helping other people. I just really hope that people that went through what I went through get the help that they need, because their story is important and they are loved. Thank you so much for everything.
I am the resident district manager on the FAU campus for Chartwell. Whenever I see Haley, I do not see a person with a disability. I see a person with extraordinary abilities. Haley is always smiling. She's always on time. She gives fantastic customer service and is always focused on any job that she's given.
Hi, this is Dan Marino. When your business recruits people with disabilities, everybody wins. To find out how, go to disabilitieswork.employflorida.com.
Checking primetime headlines, President Trump is never shy to let everyone know how great a job he's doing. Today, he spoke about how well the economy is doing. ABC's Karen Travers tells us what the president said from the White House.
President Trump says when he talks to world leaders, they all congratulate him on the American economy. Today, he was very eager to tout new economic data.
President Trump took a victory lap Friday at the White House.
These are great numbers.
The U.S. economy surged more than 4% in the second quarter, the best quarter of growth since 2014. The president also boasted that the U.S. deficit dropped by more than $50 billion and that 3.7 million jobs were created since he took office.
I will say this right now, and I'll say it strongly. As the trade deals come in one by one, we're going to go a lot higher than these numbers, and these are great numbers.
It was a sharp jump in GDP growth from earlier this year, from 2.2% to the current 4.1%. Economists say the biggest factor behind the spike is an explosion of exports, particularly soybeans, as countries scrambled to snatch up supplies at lower prices before tariffs hit. But that same explosion is the reason why analysts think this will ultimately be just a blip, and that a slowdown in growth is coming later this year because of the president's tough moves on trade. But President Trump says his economic team is confident that won't happen.
These numbers are very, very sustainable. This isn't a one-time shot.
But the timing is certainly good politically for President Trump. He can point to the best economic growth in 4 years and the lowest unemployment numbers in 20 years. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
And finally tonight, we say farewell to the man who directed this broadcast from the get-go almost 3 years ago with a deft hand and good share. Chris Milanese has had a big role in making this show what it is today. Life happens, and Chris is moving on to teach the next generation of broadcasters how to do it the right way. They certainly will be learning from a professor who does. And that's all the time we have for this evening. I'm Alan Cohn. Thanks for joining us. Have a great weekend.